Hello. I'm trying to put the intro. Where is this? Hold on. All right. Hello. Where are we? No, not my screen. Thank you. Okay, that's me. All right. So it says I have one viewer, but that's okay. So I go here by the name of uh Dacha, RM Dacha. Basically, um I'm just getting on here. This might be one of my last times able to like maybe talk completely uncensored, unbridled because things are getting kind of crazy right now. And I think before I try to like organize my thoughts, I wanted to just kind of like let a bunch of stuff out because there is so much stuff like going on. I know I'm like unfocused. Hold on. Is that better? I don't know. Is that better? Totally not. Is it this? But there's so much stuff going on and the world is basically exploding. Okay, I think. All right, so basically, like on the one hand, wow, this is really annoying. I guess it's better like this, huh? Anyways, why is it so unfocused though? Is it all this stuff in the way? I feel like I have to start over. Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, so all right. So basically, the way I see it and the way I've been looking at it, stuff is really like popping off right now in like the world, okay? You're having like one after the other these like false flag attempts all over the world. Apparently, like Putin was like attempted to get assassinated. You have like all these like staged Iran protests, and then you have the Argentinian fires, which are like in like the tens of hundreds of thousands of like acres being burned in the Patagonia and maybe one of the most like isolated places in the world. Argentina is another place that is like a very high interest for many reasons. Of course, it's like not one of the big players in the world at the moment, but definitely like a lot of hands kind of in there really trying to like manipulate that those markets, those that the economy basically. Um of course we have the situation in Venezuela and um what else? Greenland. Uh, there's like about to be like a war over that. You have like even like kind of like China kind of butting heads with us as well. And then at the same time, like China needs to be talked about because China is like its own sphere of like uh of the earth. So so I mean that's like a realm in itself, but everything that's been going on in terms of geopolitical power plays, even since Christmas, before Christmas, like even the false flags in Australia. I mean, look, crimes, there are crimes are crimes, but depending on like how it's being portrayed and manipulated and harnessed, basically like harnessed to a carriage of like the news, it can be considered a false flag for that reason if it's like serving some kind of interest. I'm trying to open up this chat if I can find it. I mean, I don't think anybody said anything, but basically, look, no chats. So if you're here, say something. Um, but yeah, we have all these issues kind of going on. I'm a little bit disappointed. I'm a little bit like shocked. I think that there's like a lot of chaos that is happening anyways. Even all the stuff that I've seen, I don't think anybody's trying to like piece these stuff together. I mean, everybody just kind of like snarkily kind of just waves their hands and it's like, "Oh, we all know who this is. We all know who that is." It's a lot of young people, it's a lot of educated people. They're giving the side eye and they're saying like, "We know where this is coming from." And honestly, I just wanted to get on here because I just feel like these thoughts, these emotions are so fresh on my mind. I'm not the only one kind of with this percolating. It hurts my heart, it hurts my soul to see all the suffering and all the like the pain that young kids, like just innocent people, communities, hardworking, just like honest people, just being pitted, against I don't know. It's just like it's just so horrendous. Like we really have this like war machine, propaganda machine working in this country, working in this hemisphere, trying to be leveraged by at this point, like it's bankers, like look, like it's bankers, um it's this kind of political, it's not even political elite. It's at this point it is like oligarchic, global oligarchic, not to sound like Alex Jones, but like at this point, like we're getting tweets by Bill Ackman, like we're getting like podcast hosts like Mark Levin, manhandling, strong manning the U.S. president. Um, you have these plots against the Russian president, you have plots against the Iranian president. Like, you know, this is such a mess of an operation. Whatever they're trying to get us to do, whatever they need from the uh from uh basically the Anglosphere, basically the Third Republic, US. um it's it's been in the making. It seems like this operation to kind of like subdue these nations and kind of like take advantage of their economies, try to connect the economies together. We could look at some maps. But like there's been like this plot for like the American technate, which like includes Greenland, it includes North America, it includes I think Central America, but having that be again like the shift in like uh political economic spheres. So like this is something of course I'm definitely not like uh the earliest person to talk about this. I literally learn everything from others, but I'm in this world, I'm in this life. I'm trying at this point to kind of be a writer of sorts, a writer, a researcher, an instructor. The world is changing. Um, we just don't have like we don't we do not have like the wherewithal to like continue operating in this same system anymore. I'm talking about education, I'm talking about health, I'm talking about I mean health breaks down to so many things. Food industry, big pharma, um biomedicine or medicine rather, medicine, all types of therapies, therapeutics, like whatever we have had going, okay, trying to like function as a economy is really going to rapidly change. I think that the people coming up now, I mean, listen, everybody's self-aware. Okay, go on Instagram, go on Twitter, go on TikTok, go on Facebook. Everybody, maybe not Facebook. Facebook is kind of like sleepy boomer land, like, and I don't even like the term boomer, but it's just like it that is the matrix. Like that is like the web, the cotton webs, like cotton webs. The cobwebs. Those are the cobwebs in the mind. Okay, go to Facebook, bro. That's when you'll see them and you'll be like, wow. um, but these other places, right? Like maybe 90% of like uh content consumption is happening on social media in general. So you go to these other, these places where you're seeing the trends that are driving the current conversation. I mean, I only really have one account on each platform. Well, I don't even have TikTok, so I can't even speak to that. But the stuff that at least I'm being served, that I'm being presented, the stuff that I'm following on, whatever, on Instagram, TikTok, and I'm not on TikTok, but Twitter, um, I'm seeing a lot of awakening, a lot of realizations where people are like, wait, all of this stuff that we've been told about, that we've been, that we understand as Americans, especially. I mean, I'm an American. I've spent my entire life here. Like, um, it's wrong. It's wrong. Um, it's so counterintuitive. It's so reversed. Even people like right now, I'm just thinking back on like my experience. I mean, I'm 28, so I was born 1997. Maybe I don't have to say all that, but essentially like late, very late end millennial, beginning of Gen Z, and then I have older family members, of course, um, who are in like the millennial age as well. So my experience, my understanding of um, just self perspective, self value, um, aspirational goals, aspirational um um paradigms of social mobility, paradigms of like personal development. These things have been programmed to us, so it's like, yes, America is like the free world. It's like you come here, you can be whatever, you're really not bound by anything. And it's like that everywhere in the world. I mean, everybody is going to be subject to like the circumstances, the conditions of their country or their culture, wherever you go in Asia, Africa, India, South America. But when it comes to America, it's like we were specifically like engineered to think a certain way, um, pursue certain things, um, and just live a certain way. And a lot of it is not so much that um you know people. um it's not so much that people are being deceived or fooled. I mean, we are a lot, but it's also just like a removal. It's just like a removal of culture, a removal of knowledge, a removal of connection to like your heritage, your ancestors, your customs, your language, and probably most of all, your moral compass. And I think a lot of that is naturally built in to humans, but also built into cultures as well. In a lot of ways, culture as like the prevalent of as a prevalent force in amongst like a group of people or in a place is definitely it's built around heuristics. It's built around like ways and means of excelling, ways and means of advancing and preserving that knowledge. And I think that when you think about cultures in that way, it's like you can easily tell what culture has been destroyed and what culture has been um like preserved, I guess, or not preserved. Okay, when you start saying stuff like that, it's like then people start to think you're like a fascist, and I'm not a fascist because because of basically what I'm saying, which is that um uh what's going on today is the end of a long experiment, of a long um effort to like subvert like um I guess like humanity, honestly. I mean, what else do you call it? Like, even if it's not by a specific country or people or anything, like it's there's been an act of destruction. We've been disconnected from like some kind of source of like knowledge, okay? Even the way, I don't know, even the way we're broken down into countries and ethnicities and all this stuff, like I don't even think that's correct. Like for real, because even like I don't know, it just does something just doesn't seem to line up with like the traditional history and then just like with like just like reality. Like I don't know. It's hard to say to speak on these things because it's like I'm just one person and I can only reflect on like my own understanding. But even the way I feel like I understand others and I listen to others and I realize like yeah, like the world is more complicated, but it's also like much more simple. Um like you have these leaders in Russia, in Iran, in in Colombia for that matter, you know, crying to heaven saying like, "Yo, please, like for the love of God, don't you guys understand that you guys are being programmed? Like we do not want war with you guys. Like can you guys please like you guys are being controlled by like men in black like agents is basically the gist." And for me, I mean, I'm trying to look at it, you know, it's just like, um, you know, I think we are being goofed. I think we are being like manipulated, our economies, everything. Of course. I mean, it's just so obvious. Points out anything. I don't think there's a citizen in this English speaking world who does not see what's going on in the government and whether they align with this side of the political spectrum or that side, like everybody's getting ticked off and things are shifting so rapidly because, you know, even with the thing going on in Minnesota, of all places, oh my gosh, like what goes on in Minnesota? Like, I guess they have a population. Like, I was just looking on Spotify and I was looking at like, like the, like sometimes I would see like where the people are performing next. And it's like, I keep saying like Minneapolis, Minneapolis. And I'm like, what is going on in Minneapolis? But, um, but I digress, I guess. And I suppose what I'm trying to say is what's happening there is that, you know, you kind of are having again this like rift going on within the different sectors already. Um, and a lot of it is is kind of going down the lines of like you have gender, you have race, and then you have like ideology, and then you have uh I don't know, like Americanism or something like I don't even know because listen, like the thing with like the Groypers and the that that dissident or whatever, I was just listening to Tim Gordon, and this is part of maybe what inspired me to talk today, but he was talking about how there's a new right that is like anti-feminism and like anti-Zionism, but then it's like it's replacing like the dissident right, which used to be that, or the far right. So I don't know, he's calling it the new right. So it's like now it's like what used to be far right is now considered more of the regular right, which is like just so like I don't know. And then he was also making the case that having that new right or having a kind of like Catholic integralism, which is essentially like having a Catholic state, is that he was saying um that his version is inclusive. And it's like then they like try to draw the line down to like the Europeans and everything. And it's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, look, I recognize the European, like the legacy, the destiny, all of that. Of course, the Europeans made the country, apparently. I don't know. I don't know. Okay. Everything's kind of suspicious, okay, with everything, like the way the country was created because it doesn't really line up. So, regardless of that, Europeans, part of the history of the US. Fair enough. But then it's like you start dividing stuff between like you start calling people blacks and whites and Latinos and everything. And it's just like what is this helpful for? To what scale? To like for like federal like for like federal census bureau tax revenue like purposes? Like what like I understand that there's something about demographics, of course, it's unifying and distinguishing. But at the same time, it's like if you're making a distinction or making um making a claim about a people, you got to identify them by more than just colors. Like you got to identify them by more than just language. Obviously, it's helpful, it's useful, it pertains in some cases. Um, but it's like you're kind of like generalizing a little bit too much. I mean, but that's kind of the nature of it though. That's kind of the nature of America. It's like people really are free from their backgrounds, their cultures, their heritages, and to be whatever they want. But then we're still being measured in these ways. So it's just like, you have people like the Groypers and their leader, and he's freaking crying and whining all over like on Telegram. And I was not even using Telegram, but I downloaded it, so now I have it. And it's just like I can kind of understand what he's trying to say about like preserving America and it belongs to us and we gotta defend it and da 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 da. But it's like at the same time, it's like and some things are principled. They're principled. The only thing is that like they're principled in like the moral law. Like that's really like the only authentic principle, right? Like in terms of like a government. So when he starts getting into this whole like white European descendant, it's just like brother, like you're literally like you've literally said this yourself. Like your forefathers were not here at the founding. Like, yeah, they were here for a few generations, but so have like all of like we've all been here. Like we've all been here. Like, what do you mean? Like we've all been here, bro. Like, what do you mean? Like even Mexicans, bro. Have been here. We've been here, bro. This is our land, bro. Like that ass, yo. So I just feel like when it really comes down to it, trying to say that one race is better than another. It's like what are you even talking about? And the thing is, even Europe is divided into races. Like you don't understand like how different like um a Nord, a Swede, a Scandinavian is from like an Italian or a Greek or a Spaniard for that matter. You feel me? The phenotypes vary a lot. Even the English, they look different and they have a distinct look. The Irish, the Scots, they everybody has their own race and that's not based on a color. I mean, yeah, there's phenotypes, but phenotypes already exist, so you don't have to define that further. You don't have to extend that into this realm of, you know, uh moral um freaking moral freaking uh like attributes because then that you're like that's just ignorant. Like you're just saying that or that someone of a certain appearance is inherently better. And it's like to a certain extent I can kind of agree, there are people who are more fit, but at the same time it's like that's not really like a genetic thing. I mean, it is to some extent though, because somebody could have really good genes and then be like a total slob. Or two people could have really good genes and like have a kid and the kid would have good genes. But it's like that's not because of like a specific phenotype. You know what I mean? It's just that's just a matter of like the environment of providence of destiny. And I think um just related to what I was saying earlier about um, people waking up, like I think people are waking up. People are waking up to the fact that humans are actually a lot more strong than we think we are, okay? Especially just like again, in America specifically. I can only speak to the American experience, really. In America, we've been told, I mean, I had this just everything that we have, just the way we get our food and water and education and technology and all types of just like sources of like of sustenance. It's just through this processed, totally just um, manufactured means of production and processing of foods, like KFC is processed foods, like Taco Bell is processed food. Like, you might think you're getting that lettuce, but like no, like humans are actually supposed to be like much more uh in tune with like nature, much more in tune with like natural elements and natural kind of like processes, not these like garbage, plastic, tainted, bleached food that we get. Um, so, um, as I was saying, I think I got off track a little bit, but when it comes to like America, the history of America, oh, and race, that's what I was talking about. Yeah, dude, and this is something that I've been thinking about for a long time because it's come up a lot for me. I study society, I study history, I study timelines, I'm studying, historical evidence. There's something called historiography. I've studied like psychodynamics, I've studied like family uh um like family societies. That's probably, yeah, that's like my biggest interest, I think, is part of that. And finding structures like between society because in a lot of ways, like the that is like um the basis of culture. It's the basis of society, of civilization, of civilizational success, of civilizational progress. It is that I think there's there's also um I think there's also implications with moral law, sexual morality, and ultimately just like spiritual um kind of alignment with progress, with advancement, with knowledge, with progress. I think I just said that. But the thing is, progress is not, you know, Tesla's. Progress is something that has totally been hidden away from us. And it's actually something that we have inside, and it's something that we did naturally, and it's something that um we we've been cut off from. So when I talk about um you know um America, history, society, I really am thinking about like kind of like how um like people prosper through posterity, through prosperity, or excuse me, through posterity, but through their kids, through offspring, through family, through intermarriage, through interlineal um dominance, strength. Everybody thinks about this stuff like from time to time. And I think for me, looking at it in such a discrete way, the discrete kind of like intergenerational relations and like preservation over time of inherited knowledge, it's like that really would kind of be more the basis of race than say your appearance or say having a common ancestor, because in a lot of ways, like, a race is not gonna, you're not gonna want to keep mixing with people of the same ancestor. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, then all the genes would be. So you're not really looking for like purity in that sense. When you're looking for like purity, yeah, when you're looking for purity in that sense, it's like okay, like within like a structure of like sexual morality, sure, but without that, you're starting to get like, I don't know, like incest almost. Anyways, but the point is like, um when it comes to like, you really got to separate like this whole nationalism thing. It's not about race. It's not about um dominance or who was here first or who has more right than the other. It's about the fact that this country does exist. I mean, I heard Tim Gordon talk about this earlier, but the country does fit um to a constitution in America. And right now it's being kind of like ripped apart. But um but but then when it comes to like the social aspect of it, and I didn't finish watching his video, so I might be just extrapolating what he might say. When it comes to like the interracial stuff and like um the the like, I don't know, like the ethnic, like I don't know. I just don't think that that's the right way to see it. Like that's so unproductive. Like it's also just like it's incongruent with like Catholic morality. Like Catholicism does not exclude anybody by race. It does not exclude anybody by appearance or by, you know, origin, essentially. So let's get that straight. And then the other thing is that if you are trying to identify with a group based on phenotype, that you're gonna get screwed. You're gonna get screwed because like what's the word? I don't know. Like what type of like worldview is that? Like you're trying to like make relations with people, you're trying to cooperate with them on the basis of appearance. Like he wants to say that those who are white act like this and those who are not white act like that, but it's like you're still making this distinction based on like just such a small like sample size of like your reality. And what I mean by that is just is like I don't know, just like all the people you've personally interacted with or whatever you see on the news or whatever you see online. Ha 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 ha. Ha. Statistic confirmed, right? Like I think at the end of the day, you cannot chalk people up to their skin tone or their hair color or their eye color because God can make whoever he wants great. And I have never seen a single place, point, or tittle that limits anybody according to appearance or so-called race from accessing God's grace and God's like omnipotence, essentially. Well, yes, exactly. Because we're human. And Christ came and Christ, allows us to to, you know, be in communion with him. So I think that Nick Fuentes needs to really, really, really clean up his language when it comes to demographics, when it comes to appearance, when it comes to culture, when it comes to ethnicity, when it comes to social identity, political identity, um, even socioeconomic class, socioeconomic dynamics, socioeconomic conflict. Okay, this is not a Twitter beef. This is not a political standoff. These are lineages. These are families. These are people who have owned properties, or people who have, been in towns for generations or whatever. Not to make it so dramatic, but it's just like, first of all, like America's so freaking huge, bro. Like, what are we, like two or three times the size of Europe? Like, and Europe has big countries, but we have big states, and then the states are all connected, and then the states are all like, kind of like self-governed, but even within those states, you have people, communities, infrastructure, locales, um, places with their own distinct histories, their own distinct families, their own distinct everything, everything. And I'm saying that as a New Yorker. My family's been there for not even a generation. So, but they are actually literally from Mexico. So what I see is like, okay, that's their origin. And everybody and people in America have their own origins as well. And it seems that like the most practical way to measure that is like usually like three generations back. It's like if you've been here for three generations, like you are authentically American essentially. And sure, you could limit that again to someone's origin or someone's genetic, commonality with another group or with the group. But in terms of like trying to say one is more pure, one is more worthy, like that's really not the best way to measure people's ownership. And then the thing is like he talks all loud, Nick Fuentes, about race and whiteness and blackness and Latinos in Mexico. Dude, Mexico is an amazing country. Are you kidding me, bro? Like, yeah, we got our issues, okay, but like damn, like that is a respectable place. And then at the same time, and then like and then he gets confronted on it and he's like, do you hate uh do you hate, are you a white supremacist? And he's like, no, no, I'm a Catholic. And he like has to take a breath before continuing because like because how can you say that you're a Catholic and in the same breath proclaim that as like a white person, as a white person, you have a right to this and you have a right to that. White is an ideology. Calling yourself white is not an identity. It's not an identity. I promise you it's not an identity, bro. I promise you. It's an identity, maybe like I just don't see it, man. I just don't see it because I understand that white people, they don't understand things, they act a certain way, they have access to certain kinds of opportunities and abilities and experiences. But I feel like that is more aligned with money though. And it's like I just don't think white people are automatically rich. I don't and I also don't think well maybe, but I don't think so. I don't think it's like that. I don't think there's any point in trying to like extend that any further than what you can point to on a case by case basis. There's no point in generalizing that or extrapolating. It's not a principle of nature. It's not it's not it's not a factor figure of life. It's it's a phenomenon, it's a correlation, but it still goes back on a case by case basis to people and their distinctive heritages, their distinctive, you know, you know, sources of wealth basically. It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. I think everybody has to work for what they have essentially. And whether there's white privilege or, advantages to being white, sure, sure, yeah, yeah. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. It just, I don't know. I think they've all been programmed. I think it's a term that kind of hurts them more than it helps them. And it's not based on anything real. It's not based on customs. You want to talk about apple pie and Thanksgiving and, Memorial Day and July 4th as customs? Sure, sure. But when you get into real ethnicity, real identity, real religion, real culture, real heritage, okay, we're talking about rituals. We're talking about, hours, weeks of the year dedicated to specific customs, specific, um, interactions with nature, interactions with commodities and resources, you know, whether you're eating potatoes or grapes or olives or um rice, it's just like it's that's the character of the culture, in my opinion. Um, and I think in that way you can actually start to detect identities, to start throwing onto people white, black, white, black. Oh no, wait, I'm Catholic. No, 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 I would never say anything like that. Blah blah blah. It's like it just leaves it's such a bad taste, bro. Like and you know you can call people you can call white people, but it's just like even for me, it's just like I don't know. It's just like nah, like I don't know. It's just like it just seems disrespectful. Like even with black people, like black people probably have so much like diversity in their own ethnic in their own like ancestry that to just call them, I mean, you can call them all black, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. It just seems so like, um, uh, I mean, it kind of maps onto like a culture, like they say, it kind of maps on to like, a behavior or something. And you could attribute it to, ancestry from here, ancestry from there, or the melanin and how much melanin. But it's just like at the same time, it's like I don't know. It just seems to be such a disservice to everybody. Like it just doesn't make any sense. Like why are we even being grouped on such a wide scale anyway? It's a 3,000 mile long country, but the way I see it, it's like we all had MTV, we all had, you know, CNN and ESPN and CBS, you feel me? So I guess we are all one race. We are all kind of, one of two or three or four races, right? It just I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like people are so like I feel like people have always been mixed though. You know what I mean? Like I just feel like there is no pure race. There is no way to call people from totally different parts of the world the same color, the same race. Like it doesn't make sense. They could come from the same race if they speak the same language or if they speak the same, they have the same customs or they have the same ancestors or same origins or geographical boundaries. But then it's ethnicity. That's not a race. That's an ethnicity. In which case, like, that maps onto a culture. Okay. And then you have the question of like nationality, which is like, yeah, like nationality are political borders, a government, and, or maybe not a government, but usually a language and then, well, a government. But that, but, hold on. Language, borders, government, and, oh, and place, I guess. I mean, and place is everything. Place is everything. Place informs what you eat, what you wear, how you take care of yourself, how you train your child, what you do at every part of the year, how you celebrate holidays, how you celebrate seasons, how you harvest, how you collect food, how you grow food, how you make your own bread, how you do everything. Bread, grains, cereal, rice, pasta, whatever, noodles. It's all connected to the environment. So when it comes to like, you know, whatever Fuentes is trying to like profligate or proliferate, it's gonna fall flat because it's based on like and it's like low-key narcissistic. Like I think he likes to see the world from his little, shallow pond of a worldview. And the guy knows his stuff. The guy knows his stuff when it comes to religion, when it comes to even when it comes to society. Some of my favorite rants from him, my absolute favorite ones, are about women. Like that stuff kills me, bro. It kills me because um because he's right. Okay, in a lot of ways. He's very objective and it's very clear that he understands kind of like male female dynamics. And I was kind of like that when I was younger too. I really was. I was also very much like very skeptical of women, like very critical, not even critical, but like I was like analyzing like why women do this, why women do that, and this and that. And it's like I already knew. I'm kind of over it, whatever. I'm a woman and everything, but I was like very cynical about it as well. So I can relate to that. But it's like when it comes to like the whole race thing, like it was just like that interview he did with like Drew Steele or whatever his name was, or Drew Neal or Neil Drew or something, right? It's like this blonde, kind of like Nordic, kind of maybe not even Nordic, probably like Norman looking type of guy, blonde hair, blonde wavy hair, and like feet, nice features, and Fuentes goes, yeah, like, like not like you real wasps, you white people, you real whites, you wasps. And he goes, and then like not even a minute later, he's like, yeah, but like my grandparents, they're really salt of the earth people, you would call my mom and my grandma grease balls. And it's just like, bro, what? It's like you just from talking about like the cosmic war between like the Christians and the enemy and all this, and then you go ahead and call like your own family like this like disgusting like slur. Like what? Why, bro? Like that's just like a level of like Freudian complex that I don't even think I'll have time in this life to like even address. But when it comes to just like just that side of his rhetoric that just I think really gets away from the true message. And the true message, honestly, if you're trying to be on the right side, if you're trying to be on the winning side, on the victorious side, it is not about necessarily what church you attend. Obviously, I'm gonna I'm gonna, you know, propone, okay, that everybody seeks a sacramental rite that everybody pursues, you know, a sacramental um parish in a sacramental church, but really in real life, in real time, in real energy world universe, you are going to be on the right side of history if you follow the truth, if you say the truth, if you embody the truth. And the truth is Christ, it is Jesus, and Jesus lives, and he is around, and he's in heaven. But we as people have access to him through his word, through his spirit, through his logos, and through the zeitgeist, or whatever Hegel or Nietzsche, I don't know. But the point is, like, or Heidegger, I don't know. But the point is, if you want to be on the right side of history, and in this case, someone with so much influence like Nick Fuentes, who has obviously amassed it just through sheer like just like through sheer like stubbornness, if more than anything. But really, I think it's also a sign of resilience, and really like a kind of election selection for Fuentes, that he can be a force for good. He can um push along, the history of mankind. And in a lot of ways, he already has. And, God only knows what he, you know, could do in the future. But but I think at the end of the day, you know, part of what made him so successful, so famous, not just now, but also in the past, is that, well, actually, let me rephrase that. I think part of what is just so powerful about him is that he really does stick to his uh position on the the kind of like the theological cosmological narrative, um which is that, you know Christians essentially are really like the inheritors of the earth, essentially. But the thing is, the way he like interprets that is by saying that, oh, well, America, we built this, we built that, we're the best, we're ingenious, like we produce the best, like because we're, descendants of European colonists, and the European continent is the best race, and we're the most advanced and everything. And, we colonize everything, so it's ours, like, American imperialism. I think, he also has a thing about like this thing about strong men. He really likes strong men, like he's kind of infatuated with them in a way that, like, I don't know, you got to stop that. Like, even for me, like, I remember I was doing that for a while too, where I would like be infatuated with like strong men, but I don't know. You kind of have to get over that at some point. Like, you can't think clearly if you can't think if you can't think like out, without those biases. So yeah, I think he also and oh my gosh, do I have enough energy to get into this? I'm gonna try to get into this. Okay, so essentially like I just think that like God really does operate like he works with the truth. He works with you as a healthy person, as a powerful person, as a clean person, as a just person. And I think that in that way we are able to live like within God's will. We are able to have like a peaceful world and a calm world, you know. You know, we're constantly told like, oh, like history is such a gruesome place and you know, even like all these wars happen, like the world wars, like humanity's, you know, just so evil. But it's like what if the truth is the opposite? What if like humanity's actually, especially humanity after Christ, what if humanity is actually like inherently like peaceful? What if we're actually like inherently like productive and we're actually inherently like cooperative? Like that's not that's not that hard to imagine when you think about how like all these wars, all this terror, all this just absolute just disgrace of a like oligopoly that we have going on right now. What if that's all contrived? What if we are at the tail end of a large, you know, conspiracy essentially to you know, to asset strip like nations and hemispheres and you know, geopolitical superpowers or potential ones. I mean, in the case of Venezuela and Argentina, uh, you know, I've just been hearing a lot about how they're actually like naturally supposed to be very, you know, lucrative and productive economies, and societies, yet they've been completely like ravaged by policy or revolutions or communism or whatever. I mean, definitely in Argentina and Venezuela, we had communism, but um, but to think um that humans are actually just naturally like in tune with God and with lawfulness and judiciousness, like that shouldn't be hard to imagine. I mean, even when you think about like, dude, like, because even now we're kind of just being controlled by money, essentially. You know, it's the only thing kind of keeping everybody kind of in line a little bit. I mean, people go to school, people follow their dreams and follow their passions, people become great, you know, they invent things and provide services and everything. Um, so that's good. That's good. I mean, things are functioning for now, right now. Knowledge is good. People should go to school. People should study and help each other. So, you know, things are, you know, we're still an advanced society and everything. It's just it's kind of just at least ideologically, it's kind of falling apart. I think people are definitely going to like realign. I think the scary thing is kind of like what the government's gonna do because it seems like they're trying so hard to like I don't know, they're trying so hard to topple either the countries or just like the economy or just like brainwash us, just like psychologically like operate on us, okay? False flags, just all kinds of things, you know, I'm sure maybe you've heard about like people talk about like, you know, sleeper cells and they awaken and they activate and all this stuff. And it's just like, dude, like, you know, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but, you know, powers and principalities in like the air and stuff. So that does not surprise me at all, like to think that people are dead. I mean, just think about like homeless people and like drug addicts and just people, you know, high on trank or just even dying from fentanyl. Like you think that's, you know, you think that's just like what God wants us to die from? Like that doesn't make any sense. Like that stuff has been like imposed on us. Like that, you know, that doesn't just come from nature. Like that obviously comes from somewhere. Um and this Trump administration, man, it's like it's been such a it's been so like bad. It's like maybe like 30% of the stuff he's doing kind of makes sense, but then like 70% of it like makes absolutely no sense. Like even down to just like the ice stuff and even like the health stuff and even just like what else has he done? He's done like loan stuff and like usury credit card stuff and it's like kind of half good but not really. It's like and it's like and that's something that Fuentes was right about that that Trump would go from being this like counter system type of figure to now like actually like poster child for the system, you know. He same thing that happened with like the COVID lockdowns and everything. Like Trump was a poster child for that and you know, they printed money and like that kind of messed up the economy as well. Just all over on top of the fact that they shut down so many businesses, they cut off people's like dude, they ruined like so many like they also just like confused people, like people died anyways, like who are you helping? Like the vaccine killed people, like what in the world? Like yeah, like nah, 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 nah. So so you have all that and just like my final point um just about like the area like I already said it. Okay, stuff about like the Aryans and like again like going back to like that race thing. Okay, you see people with like blue eyes, light eyes, all up in like the Middle East, okay, Persia, Russia, even over like into like Central Asia, um, and even in Mongolia, you see it too a little bit, but but you see it all over like, you know, um, even I'm sure into like just all over the world. And it's not about having that or not. Okay, again, people can be great of all types of appearances, sizes, shapes, colors, origins, cultures, traditions, languages. Of course, there are some natural, accidental barriers that, you know, guide people to towards this or that. But when it comes to having a prosperous nation and having a prosperous life, and again, being in line with God's will, that is something that can be developed, it can be taught, it can be maximized, it can be catalyzed, it can be capitalized, and it has nothing to do really with um, geographical origins or your ancestry per se. And I think it has everything to do with um sexual morality and just all types of morality, of course. Now, that's not to say that, well, I guess it is to say, yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I would say so, that that is the case, and that, um, the West is gonna fall. I mean, but it's not gonna fall because it was inherently bad. It's gonna fall because it it lost touch with like its origin. Like its origin was in it was in Christianity. I mean, what are you gonna say? Like you don't think the Indic people had philosophy? You don't think the Egyptians had philosophy? You don't think the Arabs and the Persians had philosophy, bro? They all had philosophy, bro. Feel me? The Chinese, everybody had philosophy. The Tartarians probably had philosophy. The Mayans definitely had philosophy. But Greek philosophy was the one that, you know, it was already kind of advanced, but it definitely like was part of like of like God's plan and God's revelation. So I think the West um really developed out of that, but I don't know. I don't know. I think it definitely lost touch with like the reverence and the moderation and um the humility that comes with just serving God. I know that colonial history is really complicated and the kings and the queens, they were not good. There were popes that were not good. They were trading slaves and you know, they were killing natives, I guess. But at the same time, it's like, uh, I don't know. I don't know if all of that is exactly what we think it was. I think something else happened. I think something else happened on the American continent. I think something else happened on the African continent. I think something else happened on the Asian continent as well. Um I do think it's not what we're told. Um I think that being on the right side of history is not just about religion. I think religion is a big part of it, but people can serve God in a lot of ways. And I know that some Christians will be like, "No, like pagan religions and all this stuff." And it's just like yeah, pagan religions are pagan, Hmm. but humans are still human. We're still naturally like God. And if unless we're being explicitly taught to reject him and to like serve other gods, then, we're always, you know, subject to him and to his change in us. Um, so uh yeah, I mean, if we're gonna like look again, like I am American, but it's like and America was cool and all, but at the same time, like America kind of sucked. Like it's kind of sucked for a while, especially after Woodrow Wilson sold us out, and then especially after World War II, because then we started getting these like League of Nations, like UN stuff. Like I don't know, there's just something kind of counterintuitive about like I don't know, just like the democratic diplomacy and trying to get like nations with like IMF loans from the World Bank. Like, hey man, this is the stuff that I be learning here and there. So that stuff does make sense to me. I just think that um I just think that like I just think that like if we're gonna have an American identity, we're gonna have to like look a little deeper. Like there is something unique about America, it's like yeah, there is like the frontiers land, and there is the like the Wild West and the urban bustling East Coast, and you got the Southwest and everything, but it's not it's like the images that come to my mind are like from commercials. They're like from commercials and from TV shows and movies, but it's like that's not reality. Like reality is like if you've been there. The reality is if like you grew up there, had to go to school there, live there, work there. And that's going to be your identity. It's going to be how you were shaped by your environment, which environment you're a part of, what people you knew there. And in a lot of ways, like if you if you got it out the mud in even New York City, or if you got it out the mud in Miami or freaking Seattle, Washington, you know like yeah, it's gonna end up shaping who you are and actually giving you an identity to that place. That's not a bad thing, you know Um, sometimes when I look at like medieval history and like you see that people are from a certain place, but then they'll have like a different ethnic background. Like they'll be from Persia, but like actually ethnically Armenian, or they'll be from like China or from Persia, or but they'll be like ethnically Iranian or ethnically Uyghur, old Uyghur, or ethnically Turkic or something, or ethnically like something like Hephthalite or something. In which case it's like there's the nationality and there's ethnicity. It's like this has always happened in history where you have, the conjunction of identities. So that's valid. It's a valid identity. It ties who you are, where you've been, what you know, and like, who you are essentially. That's not wrong. So when it comes to having this like inclusive or productive or cooperative like America First movement, like it's not gonna be on the basis of like your appearance. Like it's gonna have to be on the basis of something deeper, whether it's like I don't know. I mean, the kid is from Chicago. Like Chicago is very cool. It's awesome. Like I like that it's like in the Midwest. I like that it's kind of like this like wide um these like wide streets like it's a cool place for sure, but it's like what do you have in common with every other Chicagoan? It's like the fact that you're from Chicago, okay, but is that enough to create a common identity? No. So it's like how are you going to relate to people from across the country or across from here, across from there? Like for real, because it's not about the appearance. It's gonna be about something deeper, something you have in common, something that you're both good at, something that you care about, something that you both shared or want to do. Um, Even like that all white community that came out, it's like what what are you hoping to like accomplish with this? Like you want to just make food together? Like that's not enough. Like you're gonna have to like make money, like you're gonna have to like pay taxes, like and not that it comes down to that, but it's just like humans are not just colors. Like we have uh deeper conceptions of ourselves. Like we want to relate to you on the basis of family, we want to relate to you on the basis of food maybe, or on the basis of religion, is probably the best one. And I think like a community based on Catholic dogma, or maybe not dogma, but Catholic integralism or whatever, or principles, that's going to go a longer way. But again, even that's going to have to come down to like, you know elements of morality and law and justice and stuff like that. So in that sense, historically, like America has had some sense of that, of you know prudent jurisprudence. I don't know, I actually don't know what it is, but law and carrying out the law. And obviously like the system sucks in a lot of different ways. um so but yeah, I mean, that's because people are selfish, greedy, and, you know, just dishonest. But if we can be honest, generous, and um selfless, then I think there's a lot that we can do as Americans, and especially young people, especially like the Gen Z generation. Like I can see Gen Z being the vanguard of like this next age, where Gen Z really is taking up the torch and saying and being like, okay, we tried it this way, but here's a better way. Like, okay, we see how you guys did it, but here's how we can fix it up or improve or whatever. And I mean, all the biggest people right now are Gen Z. I mean, I Show Speed, Mr. Beast, Nick Fuentes, um, even Sneeko. I mean, this is kind of my side of the world, but even just like the Disney stars, like, is Sabrina Carpenter Gen Z? Like, uh Camila Cabello's Gen Z, just people like that. Um, who else? Who else is big? I'm trying to think. I don't know. I'm kind of like outdated, but like who's another big like pop star? Like trying to think. Like Billie Eilish, she's huge. Drake. No, I'm gonna stop. Drake is totally Gen Z. No, not Drake. Who's like a big like NBA young boy or like Lil Durk is pretty big. He's Gen Z. Or is he? Maybe not. I mean, he's probably a little older, as a matter of fact. They're probably both a little older. But you get the gist. You get the gist. And and yeah, there's a lot of work to be done. I think education's gonna take a hit. I think uh I mean, I don't know what they're trying to do with the military for real because nobody's trying to go to war right now. Nobody's trying to do nothing. Even the other countries are like, can we just like do this another way? So hopefully, I don't know, man. I think Trump needs to be arrested low key. Low key, bro. Him, the other guy. Nah, 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 nah. People, I mean, but the thing is, people are waking up. People are waking up at such a fast rate. And people are trying to find the right side. It's like people are like, it's like, it's like, it's like people want to like preserve America, but people don't want to be white nationalist, fascist, racists. Like, you know, like in that sense, like that movement's gonna fail. And then it also just like, I don't know, there's something about it that like is very like, I feel like people are in it to gratify their egos, which just kind of sucks because it's like that's also not how you get people to be leaders. Like we need real leaders. Like we need to start like designating plots of land to specific people. You know what I mean? We need to have leaders. We need to have leaders here, a leader there, 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 a leader there. And we all need to cooperate. We all need to be on the same page. That's how I see it. That's how I see it. That's the only way that I see a community, a power, a fight against uh, the oligarchy. Hey, Sayway, I see you. I see you. Okay. So I'm kind of nearing the end of my little rant, but how are you? I hope you're good. Um, so I think yeah, it's not gonna happen on the basis of like race. I think it's such a miscon mis it's just a misconception of like reality. Like we're past that. Like no, no, no. You have places like New York City, for instance. There are how many ethnicities in New York City? Like 1,000, like 2,000, like I don't like a million, like I don't even know. But it's like, how would you know what I mean? Like New York City is what it is. Like there's no way you're gonna, you know, uh, condition that place somehow. And I think that goes for the rest of the country as well. Like the the communities are already made. Right now, we kind of just have to we have to change well, I think economics is probably the first thing because what I come to think about is just like supply chains, access to food, pro means of production, owners of the means of production, whatever, all of that. You got the tax systems, you got, revenue and subsidies and and just different financing for healthcare and for technology and education and if we can just, you know, allocate that in our best interests, that's kind of the only way to kind of like fight this whatever is happening. I mean, even just like on a local scale, like on a small scale, like um, you have communities being ravaged, like, whatever happened in Malibu, whatever happened in North Carolina, whatever happened, what's going on with Argentina and even just everything with like data centers and AI centers, like it just seems so gloomy. And the thing is, if we keep putting our money towards that, it's gonna keep taking over. It's gonna keep um like, you know, trending towards um we're gonna be feeding our own destruction essentially. So if we need to fight that, we need to start gathering together by the dozens. I'm talking about get all your uncles, get all your aunts, get everybody needs to come together. We need to have one ruler, one head. We should have like 30, you know, 30 plus size like units, families, clans, I guess. They would be clans, I guess. That is the best way in my opinion. People want to talk about, oh, it's tribalistic. It's like, no, no, tribalistic makes no sense, bro, because you could technically make a tribe with, you know, the five closest, like this is so hypothetical, but it's like you could technically make a tribe with like all the houses on your block or all the houses for 5 blocks. It's like a tribe is not anything but like, you know, defensiveness, like an animalistic defensiveness, like it's like that's not the best way to define your identity, your race, your worldview. Like, you know, the kid needs to like read, or he needs to just, I don't know, he needs to talk to old people because old people actually kind of know the world a little bit. Although some of them don't really understand anything, unfortunately, because all they know is like CNN, unfortunately. Like to them, that is the internet. CNN is TikTok. To them, CNN is X. CNN is Instagram. All their friends are on CNN, like or C-SPAN or whatever, Oprah or daytime television. Like there's something to that. There's something, you know, like a dopamine when you watch those shows, when you tune in, when you see a familiar face, when you see a familiar um broadcast. I know for me, I mean, I constantly return to the same podcasts and shows and everything. I mean, this is a fact of life at this point, but what I'm trying to say is like we need to pull back. We need to pull back our resources. We need to pull back our um our finances, pull back our attention spans from these monopolies on our time, monopolies on our knowledge, monopolies on our food, and we need to start divesting to like ourselves, each other, having those networks. But I'm not talking about abstract networks in your head and a Rolodex of people you can call up. I'm talking about establishing like your clan, I guess. Like your clan, like but somebody has to be the leader. But the leader also has to be like the leader. And that's how it's always been in history. That's how it is in nature, essentially. So it's not strange. I just think it's strange to put it that way because of the systems that we're in now, where everybody just goes to their public school and everybody just goes to the post office and just goes to the supermarket and all this stuff. But it's like that's not a unit of human organization. That's just, you know, a store. That's just a storefront. Like humans are deeper. We operate on we operate on rules, we operate on worldviews and common and shared uh objectives and common and shared expressions, you know? So again, this is obvious to people. This is like, but is it though? Is it? Because people don't think that way. People don't say people want their own thing. People want their own career. People want their own boyfriend. They want their own girlfriend. They want their own diet. You know, everybody's kind of out for themselves, but it's like, why are we not setting aside all of our differences and just pooling together our like resources essentially? And and I think there is going to come a time when people are going to come to that realization. I think it's actually probably sooner than I think because I have been thinking about this for a long time. And people know about this, of course. People like, people go on X spaces and everything and they're like, prepare, these like doomsday prepping and stuff. Like, yeah, there's a communal element to that. And there's people like Stu Peters where they're always like, I'm always ready. My kids are always ready for when stuff's gonna get crazy, blah blah blah. And people have always had, their own ranches and their own um farms and all that stuff. So 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 this isn't an obsolete concept. I guess I guess what I'm concerned about is the fact that the way people have been organizing has been very much tied to like money, income, revenue, these kind of like corporate kind of like ends. But I just think that if we can just kind of like relocate our our design from being about making money and relocating it to being about like common stability. I wonder if that's actually anti-American to talk that way because we don't because but can you have clans and then still be American? I mean you can, right? Because it's still representative government, so you could still like elect people. That's not bad. But I guess I'm thinking like economically, right? Because we don't want socialism. We don't want socialism. I mean, it's kind of it's kind of helpful, but it's just like we still have to keep our like selves accountable. And in a lot of ways, the only way to maximize benefits amongst each other is to um start to kind of pull things together, And people do that. People do that. That's something that is very prevalent, I feel like, in ethnic communities because they literally their interest is each other's success already. So I think like as Americans, we have to have that sense kind of regenerated in like practical means. So um this is something that I think is gonna take more shape in the coming years, in the coming months, the coming years, because people are only just waking up to like kind of like these natural kind of forms. And I think that as the systems start to change, um, people are gonna start like gravitating towards each other. Because right now the big thing is kind of like, homeschool your kid, like use an online this or an online that. But it's like, I think we're just gonna have to have like more local economies. That's the only way I can really put it. I mean, we get so much stuff from China, like stuff is always imported, but we gotta start like making our own food and like make it like we just have to. But it has to be collective because every person to just do it in their own little apartment or in their own little house, like that's just not gonna seem viable anymore. So anyway, I've overstayed my welcome. Appreciate anybody who joined. Hopefully, this resonates with someone. I kind of want to start a Facebook group, but well, I do have a Facebook group, but I'm gonna I'll share it. I'll share it next time. I don't know how much I'm gonna be talking, but I just want to say all this stuff because it's fresh in my mind and I'm starting school again, so I didn't really want to wait. So, anyways, have a good night, everybody. See ya.